Hello there, everyone. I hope you can see me. I hope you can hear me, because this is the Monday, Tuesday show I'm running, which is today all about how we handle private and work at the same time. And I think the best way for me to illustrate that is to take you back in time. In fact, a couple of years ago, I was in Zambia catching up with Malcolm Gladwell. And as we're sitting there looking at the savannah with all the giraffes and the elephants, then Malcolm asked me one of those questions which really made me think a lot. He said to me, "Martin, have you noticed how people are wearing hats here, but in fact, in the rest of the world, they don't wear hats anymore?" And it's Malcolm Gladwell asking that question, so you can't just spit out an answer very quickly. So I thought a little bit about, why do people not wear hats anymore? And I think the answer really comes back to 1961, because that was the year where J.F. Kennedy was part of his inauguration. As part of the inauguration, he was the first president ever in the United States not to wear a hat. And it may not sound like a big deal, but think about this. I presume back then you actually would be putting on your hat as you go to work, and then you'll be in a work mode, and then you'll go back again and you will take off your hat, and then you'll be normal again. And that was really the way we would separate private and work. Then that disappeared. And then, by the way, the tie disappeared. A trend introduced, I presume, by Steve Jobs back in the 80s. And then, by the way, later on, we installed a office in our pockets called the smartphone. And then, right now, I guess we now have a pipeline of bureaucracy going straight into our bedrooms. It's kind of the last step towards merging private and work. In fact, I would claim that there is no such thing as business to business or business to consumer. B2B and B2C has kind of merged together. I actually call it hate to hate. It stands for human to human. And the reason why that is so profound is not because we're not wearing that hat per se, but it's actually the actions following that. I fundamentally believe that our brains no longer can handle this, because we are creatures of habits, right? So we kind of need to link our emotions to stuff. I mean, that's the reason why the concept of merchandising was invented. We wanted to take that memory with us home, even though we knew that that Eiffel Tower we bought in Paris, in fact, said made in China underneath. Didn't matter. Our emotions were predicted to a thing. I actually met a person the other day. She told me that whenever she had really happy moment, amazing moments, she would touch her bracelet and she would project that positive energy to the bracelet. And whenever she had really negative moments where she just said, this is the end of the world, she would touch her bracelet. It's almost like she would suck positive energy out of it. I think in many ways, this is something we rarely discuss in the world of business. The fact that we, you and I, business leaders, are very sensitive. We are dealing with emotions and with feelings. Well, we're just, sometimes we have problems handling it. So what does it mean? Well, I think the first thing I want to say is that we actually can control this much more than you think. Just think about it yourself. If you go to the theater or you go to a wedding and you dress up, perhaps your wife is wearing the high heels and the lipstick, and feel extra self-confident that night, feel really good about yourself. Or I wear my gold Rolex watch because it certainly gives me a lot of confidence. In fact, it was funny. I had a gold Rolex watch for many years, and I realized the reason why I was wearing it and showing it off to the whole world was because I was out of balance. I really didn't have enough self-confidence. So I had this Rolex watch and I showed it to the world, not because it was good looking, not because it was always on time, because it wasn't, and not because necessarily it was the best brand, but because it showed to the world, yes, I made it. It's another way of projecting emotions to the world. An experiment was done in New York City some time ago where people were giving 3 sets of lab coats, white lab coats. And the first lab coat had a sign above it saying doctor. And the second lab coat had another sign above it saying dentist. And the third one, well, guess what? There was no sign above it. And what's fascinating about it is that there was nothing written on the lab coat. And now people were asked to wear these lab coats and go through an experiment. A very simple one. They had to fill out a form, they had to answer some questions, and of course, everything was measured throughout the entire experiment. Well, guess what happens? As people were wearing the lab coat saying dentist, well, then they actually were pretty good at answering questions. When they were wearing a lab coat saying doctor, they actually became really good at answering questions. They did it faster than normal. Their self-confidence level went up. In fact, what happened in general was that they actually felt that they were on top of the world. And when wearing the last lab coat, the one where there literally was no format of addressing a title or anything like that, well, guess what? People actually immediately changed to the normal self. What I'm saying to you right now is that we call that phenomenon for a closed cognition. It's the idea of that we, you and I, are affected by things around us that put us into an emotional state of mind. And even though we may not think a lot about it, it really can impact us. And like the experiment done with people in an elevator. It's fascinating. What happened was that people were meant to go to a research lab on the 16th floor. And as they were entering the elevator, there would be a lady standing in the elevator, and she was holding a cup of very hot coffee. And during the experiment, people would walk into the elevator. They didn't know that was part of the experiment. They thought it was happening, up on the higher floors. And she would say to them, "Oh, sorry, I had to grab something in my bag." And she would hand over the cup to another person and say, "Can you hold it for me?" And then they would repeat that experiment, this time not holding a hot cup of coffee, but this time holding a cold cup of coffee. After the experiment was done, the respondent was actually asked, "Oh, you met someone down in the elevator. What do you think about her?" And whenever they were holding a hot cup of coffee, it's difficult to say, hot cup of coffee, they actually would say that she was very nice. She was warm. Her soul was warm. And whenever they were holding the cold cup of coffee, they will say, well, that person is cold and arrogant. We are projecting feelings from one phenomenon to another. So we call that frank closed cognition. And I think what's going on right now in our world is that we are not really able to handle that anymore. If your brain kind of tune into the right frequency, how does that work when we are working from home? I'm not sure if you tried it, but I for sure have them when I'm coming home from an extraordinary busy day. Perhaps I've been presenting for an audience of 5,000 people, signing autographs for 2 hours, witness people crying in front of me. I felt like a king. I'm honest with you. And then I came back home and I bumped into reality. Reality. That was, can you do this? Can you do that? Why are you not doing that? And it's almost like my wheel was going incredibly fast and the wheels at home were going very slow. Can you imagine what I mean? And suddenly these two wheels are clashing because my time zone, my perception of time and busyness is very different from what's going on at home. And that's where you have a friction. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today, because what I've noticed is a lot of people are really struggling with this. One person which in particular knows a lot about this topic is Hortense Le Gentil. She's an author of the book Aligned, Connecting Your True Self with a Leader You're Meant to Be, an executive leadership coach, helping C's become self-aware and more aligned personally and professionally. Hortense is also an executive coach in the executive education program at the Harvard Business School later on this year. And she did receive in 2019 the Marshall Goldsmith Thinkers 50 Top Coach in the World Award, and today ranks number 13 among the world's management top gurus. So it's a great honor to have Hortense on my show. Hortense, welcome to my little show here.
Hello, Martin. Thank you for having me. I love your book. I love the title of your book. You're so inspiring. So I'm so happy to be with you.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, Hortense and I share one thing. We both are from Europe. Hortense is from Paris, from France, and I'm originally from Denmark, in Switzerland right now. So we both have one thing in common. That is, we see the world certainly from one point of view, which is from the European point of view. Listen, I'm so glad that you're here. Tell me about, you have worked with all these business leaders over the last many years. What happens with a business leader when they are going through the same nightmare as I have, busy at work, totally frantic, and then they come home and another reality hits? What is going on? What are you seeing? What have you learned?
Yeah, it's something very interesting. Most of my clients, of course, like you are, like everyone are here, I suppose, are very, very busy. So they are used to a routine, to to begin a meeting and finish another one, and they never stop. And when they come at home, they open the door with this same energy, and doesn't work. I have one of my clients came like that at home, and he was still in the on his phone, and and try to call, or try to look at the messages. And his teenager told him, "Hey, dad, you're not here." And he said, "Yes, I'm here, of course I'm here." "No, you're not here. So you're not part of the family." So he said, he was furious. So, and he talk about we talk about it during the coaching. And he said, what should I do? What could I do? And what we worked on it was make this scissor, close the door, before opening another door. So how you close the door. And so what I suggested for him was to, before coming home, driving or walking or whatever, listen to a music, always the same music, a music who meant to him, okay, it's calm down, I'm going to come back home, and so I'm going to change energy, and it's a new different vibes. And I'm going to see my family. I love my family, so I'm going to take energy from them. And listen, just listen, because teenagers and our kids, what they want is just to be listened, not to be said, you should do that, you do that, and whatever. So it's exactly the same problem. It's all about alignment. So be the same at home, and of course at the office when we work. It's exactly the same when you are a leader. So you have to learn how to listen and not tell every day, because it's the same when you go back home, except that it's not the same energy.
So let me just try to translate this.
Oh.
That we are in many ways trying to separate zones, or we should separate our zones, but we're not doing it today. It's blending together. So what are you saying to me? What are we doing when we live on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and I'm ending a meeting and then I'm going on to the next meeting? What is your advice here?
Before, when you're ending a meeting, so figure out, just take 5 minutes, breathe, take a pen and a piece of paper, write what you have in your mind, just clear your mind. And when you are done, you breathe again, you close your eyes, and you're ready to open the other door. And see, and you picture it. You picture a door with open, you close, and a door that you're going to open. And you are ready for the next one, because you don't go, when you go to the funeral at the morning, you don't take your grief to the wedding at the evening. So it's exactly the same. You are not you are going to be drained if you don't take that moment, a little piece of moment for you. So you have many ways. So the door is okay. What you can do also, I don't know, sorry about it, but you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands, you do a routine, something that means to your brain that you are going to change energy, because you're going to talk about another topic and talk with different people. So you could also you stand up, and okay, you do some some movement or something like that, something that is good for you, and that you can that your brain is understanding like that. Also, you can refuel, for example, because you need to refuel in the middle of the day. Because when we are Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, in fact, our brain is drained. So it's, you get very tired. So don't forget to refuel. How you refuel? I have one of my clients who is doing very simple things. He takes 10 minutes, he takes a cup of coffee and look at the windows, and just look at the windows. And if he's lucky and there is sun, he takes the sun and he closes the eyes. And he told me that he made all the difference. So each person has to find his way, but doing something. What is worst? I don't know about you. I'm sure you did it, because I'm sure I did it also. Is,
Absolutely.
you have a Zoom, you finish in I don't know what time is it. 1:30 it's finished, and 1:31 you jump on another one.
Yeah.
This is horrible. Don't do that, please,
No.
please,
No.
everyone. Don't do that. Take 5 minutes. Be late, but not be late. In fact, try to not schedule. Take 10 minutes, please. 10 is nothing.
Yeah.
10 minutes between then. And again, walk, or if you have the opportunity, maybe you can go outside for 5 minutes, but take air. Don't forget to breathe, to go outside, because your brain again needs oxygen. Just being at home and in front of the Zoom with the light, or not the light, but whatever, your brain doesn't doesn't breathe. So
Yeah.
you need oxygen. So go
It's funny.
outside.
It's funny you saying it, because I've tried it myself. That I'm going through these back-to-back Zoom calls, and here's what I've learned. I learned two things. One was, don't fill your entire day with Zoom or Microsoft Teams calls, because here's the issue: you never render your brain. You never connect dots in a new way. What happens is, it's almost like you go on autopilot. You kind of just trying to catch up. You have this endless set of notes on your PC or laptop, which you then try to make sense of by the end of the day. So one thing I'm doing is I'm cutting the number of calls to half. The second thing I'm doing, and I really felt like I was cheating, and I'm so glad you're saying this to me, I actually say, well, listen, when I'm done tonight, for example, right now, when I'm done with my primary part of the work, I'm not going to leave the studio. I'm actually going to hang around in my studio until I'm winding down and have collected my thoughts. And do you know what? For a while, I felt I was cheating. I felt, oh, listen, they're waiting for me there. No, what's going on here? He's just hanging around in that office. He really loves it. No, it's because you want to wind down. I remember Madonna, she once told me when I spoke with her, she said she always take a bath after she's done her concerts,
Mm.
where she's hanging out there for 2 hours to almost get into the frequency of the people around her kids. And that's a little bit what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. That's it. Yeah, this is when you finish your date. So you just, yeah, I wanted to ask you the question, but you
Yeah, please,
answer
please, please,
before.
please.
No, what are you doing at the end of the day? So what is your routine at the end of the day? So do
So
you take
my
time for you?
Well, absolutely, I do. So first of all, he's my life. I have zones allocated for work and for private and for semi-private. I have certain rooms where it's only private and where I never do work. I never touch a computer. I'm no, of course not on the phone, because I don't have a phone, as some of you may be aware of. But this is 100% offline. I have other places which is semi, and then I have
Hmm.
places which is like this space here, where it's 100% work. Another thing I always have done for the last 25 years is I'm always wearing black. And you may find out, if you type Martin Lindstrom online on Google, you will see there's not a single place or a single photo of me ever where I'm wearing another color. In fact, it became so extreme for a while. I had nightmares. This is crazy,
Hmm.
right? I had nightmares wearing white for a
Hmm.
meeting, right? This is a couple
Hmm.
of years
Hmm.
ago. I mean, that's just for the psychologists to think about, right?
Hmm.
But what
Hmm.
it did is the enclosed cognition. I put on my clothes and I go into a work mood. And I think a lot of people don't even go through the shower. I know a lot of people who are not taking the shower, they take it halfway into the day, or they don't have these morning rituals. And that's really the essence of what we are talking about, isn't it?
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. One of my clients is, at the end of the day at Zoom, is changing, put a jeans on. So something. When another client is, she's so funny, because she told me, go to the bedroom, to the living room, it takes 3 seconds. So it's too fast, because you don't there is no separation before breakfast and to work. So what she's doing, she goes downstairs, she walks over the building,
I have a
and
client doing that as well. I do.
yeah, you're doing great. You're doing that also. So, and it's funny because, and this is true. And because she told me, before I had a routine, before, when I was living home, before being at the office, I had to commute, I had to do something. So she's doing that. So now she knows that, okay, it is my day work. And when it's over, she goes downstairs again, like, she had to go somewhere. And in fact, she's just running around, the building, and she's going out. I think it's great. And she changed, I used to do that. I'm sure you do. A lot of us was doing that before having a dinner. When I was in the real life, I came back home, I had a shower, and I changed. Means, okay, now I change. So here it's exactly the same. You could change also. You where at night or at evening, and and your brain knows that, okay, you're changing energy. And so this is very simple, in fact, and very common sense in a way, but it's all about how do you reimagine, in fact, your space, and and the habit, the routine that you are doing. And also, we don't have a lot of movement. We don't move enough. So how do you include that in your life? Can you
Very,
hear me?
very good
Oh
point.
yeah.
Now, a last question for you before we wrap up. Tell me, when you're sitting in that car listening to that music, should you work or should you not work when you go back from home in the car?
In the car? No. No, one of my clients, I told him, because I asked him for his routine. So he told me, like a lot of us, in the morning he exercise, and he's listening to the radio, to the news, and doing that. And what I suggested was, okay, stop. We're doing something different. You exercise, it's great, but what about just listening to a nice music that you like, or nothing, but not the news, and focus on the present moment. So focus on what you are doing. So I don't know, if you exercise, you do that, but think about it. Think about, how you feel in your body. So it's all about be at the present moment. It's the kind of meditation. And after, when and after the routine was after breakfast and everything, during I think, well, I don't remember exactly when, but at another moment, when he is ready, of course he's listening to the radio and begin his work. But it's really important to have those moments of doing nothing. Be at the present moment, listen to how you feel, or go back to yourself. In fact, it's all about alignment. It's and centered balance.
Yeah.
Come back to yourself, come back to that, because if not, in fact, the storm is going to put you everywhere, and you are not anymore, you don't find your true north. So your alignment is your true north. But how do you find your alignment? You just check. And this is a way to check, in fact, if you are still in balance.
Yeah. Wonderful and well said, Hortense Gentil. It's been a pleasure to have you with me today. Where can people get hold of you if they want to read your book or learn more?
Oh, thank you. I have a website of my name, hortenselegentil.com. HORTNSELEGENT.com. It's very long.
But it's very sexy, that name, I have to say. Martin is a really, really not that sexy as Gentil, which means Gentil
Not
means
at all.
nice, right? Or something in French, or what?
Martin in France.
Martin, yes, better. I want to move to France. Okay, well, listen, thank you for beaming in from New York City. You're in New York right now, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And listen, I want to say thank you for all of you guys that you were listening in today. I know this topic today was slightly different from what you expected, but in the end of the day, I want to say this is common sense as well. It is to adapt those separations of zones of work from private and work, just so that your brain is not becoming one big gray mismatch between all of the stuff. So think about it. And then tomorrow I'll be back again with another show. Take care and bye for now.